Recent vinyl finds. Got some new records. Let's check it out, y'all. All right. Welcome back to Junior's Music Corner. If this is your first time, thank you for joining us. All right. This is going to be a recent finds video, recent vinyl finds video. Got some new records. Some I've been holding on and just got around to cleaning them and sleeving them. But let's get into it. All right. We're going to start it off with a classic. Debut album by LL Cool J. This is Radio. One of my favorite records since I was a youngin. Radio, I Can't Live Without My Radio was actually the first rap song that I ever like memorized and knew, thanks to my brother and two of my cousins. 87, we had an anniversary party for my grandparents, and everybody did a little performance type thing. And my brother and two of my cousins performed I Can't Live Without My Radio. And so we had this on camcorder video, and I used to watch it all the time. And that is actually how I learned the lyrics to that song. But classic. This is L Start. And as you know, LL's still doing it. Just dropped the album recently. So shout out LL. Glad to have this one in my collection. And it is it's OG, and it's a beautiful copy. I was lucky I found this. So shout out L. All right, next up is a soundtrack, and that is soundtrack for the Jamaican classic, The Harder We Come, The Harder They Come. Great movie. Love this movie. If you haven't seen it, go check it out. Stars Jimmy Cliff as the bad man, Ivan. Classic movie. This is it's an older record. It's a great soundtrack. There's some good songs up here. You got of course, the title track, The Harder They Come, but you got Many Rivers to Cross and a bunch of old Jamaican bangers from the movie. So glad to have this one. This one is a good one. I like this. Add this to my soundtracks. All right, next up, we got a 12-inch by J. Rue the Damager. This is You're Playing Yourself. This is off the Wrath of the Math album. Classic hip hop album. Love J. Rue. The wordplay, the positivity, the knowledge still sharpens steel as what I believe. So I like to listen to J. Rue. Sunrises in the East was a classic album. Of course, like I say, this is a single off of his second album, which has the New Birth sample, which Biggie and Junior Mafia also used, and I believe caused a little riff in there. But anyway, shout out J. Rue. I believe this was a DJ's copy, because again, there's two copies in here, but I'm not hating. I take it. I appreciate it. Shout out J. Rue, and got Afu Ra in there. This is another soundtrack. This is Wu's soundtrack. It's a generic cover. It's a 2 LP, but it's not the full soundtrack. There's some choice cuts up here. I got it for the low. Of course, I bought it for the Dina Howard and Jamie Foxx song. But you also got Heavy D up here. You got Cameron. Some good joints. Not the best Jada Pinkett movie, but it was some decent songs on this soundtrack, so I picked that up. Michael, I believe I showed this in my rap vinyl tag video. I just got around to cleaning and sleeving this, so I gave this a play the other day. Of course, the album of the year, Michael by Killer Mike. If you haven't heard this album, give it a listen. It's a great album. Shout out Killer Mike. All right, another one that I briefly showed in the vinyl tag video. This is a Coup. This is the Coup. This is Kill My Landlord. This is their debut album. It's a reissue. Before it was just a promo copy that you could have. Again, great album. R.I.P. Pam the Funkstress. Shout out Boots Riley and E-Rock. It's some Oakland hip hop. All right. Also picked up Devon The Dude. This is Sweet 420. Devon is my guy. I've loved Devon for the longest. First time I heard Devon was On the Bring It On, the Posse cut on Ghetto Boys Till Death Do Us Part album. Devon's got a distinctive voice. You can pick him out from the crowd. And then he was part of Face Mob with Scarface. But it's one of his solos, and it's a great album. It's just pressed on a sticky green vinyl. If you know what I mean. If you know it, if you know about Devon, then you already know. Shout out Devon The Dude. Right. Big Pun, yeah, baby. This is a reissue from Get On Down on the gray and red vinyl. I do have an OG copy of this. The sleeve has some damage, and my disc two, there's I don't know, there's a nick out of it, so it doesn't play. But I'm glad I got another copy of this, so I can replace the one that I got. Shout out Big Pun, RIP Big Pun. This was his second album, released after he died, a little bit after he died, but this was a great album. His first album, Capital Punishment, is a classic, but don't sleep on this one. Shout out Big Pun. All right, another classic. The Fat Boys. This is Fat Boys' debut self-titled album. This is a classic, no way around it. Fat Boys made a lot of noise back in the day. They were a huge, huge group, represented hip-hop and rap music. Very, very big. Glad to have this. This is a nice copy. It's got a great sleeve on it. The vinyl is in pristine condition. And I'm happy to add this one to my collection. Shout out to Fat Boys. RP Buff and Marky D. Shout out Cool Roski. All right, next up, got my boy B Brown. This is Dance. You know it. I never owned this album. First time I saw this album, I don't remember it being released, but when I was in Germany, I was young in elementary school. We had a function at the school in the gym, and they were like, you could bring tapes, bring some music to play music or whatnot. I stuck by the radio because I was a music guy, and I also wanted to peep like what other music people were bringing. And the time I was in there, this cassette was in there, and I was like, "Dance, you know it." I knew, Bobby's first album and "Don't Be Cruel," which was the poppin' album at the time, but I had never saw this album. Anyway, I came upon this recently and got it for a great deal. Like I say, it's still in shrink. The vinyl is great, but this is more of a remix album. There's a lot of most of the songs. There's a lot of remixes from "Don't Be Cruel," some joints from his first album, but it also has the Ghostbusters on our own song, which is great. I rock with Bobby to the end. Shout out B Brown. I'm glad to have this. All right, another R&B one. On the old school tip, this guy's first album. I didn't have this. I have two copies of The Future and one of my favorite old school R&B albums. But I lucked up, found this one. Great copy. And bumped some Teddy Riley and the Boys. Shout out God. Great album, man. All right. This is Common. This is Beautiful Revolution Part 2. This is not necessarily a recent pickup. I had this album for a while. It was stuck in my Need to Be Clean crate, and I had just never pulled it out. So with this last batch of cleaning, I pulled this out and opened it. It's on like a neon green vinyl. Haven't got a chance to listen to it, but I will be checking this out. And I guess I'll try to get my hands on part 1. I rock with Common. Like Water for Chocolate was my favorite Common album to this day. But I'm gonna give this a listen. If y'all heard this album, let me know what y'all think. Shout out Common. Next up, boom, LL's Bad. LL's second album. Great album, historic album, classic album. Everybody knows I'm Bad. Everybody's familiar with this album. Classic album. Shout out LL. Glad I found it's an OG copy. Uh, Not a VG Plus album, but we'll start where we can with this one. Hopefully, I can find a better LP, a better record. But this one plays nice, but there's some surface noise on it. Although he had it listed as VG Plus, but I got it for a great deal, and I wasn't going to bother with the whole return it and all. The money was low enough to where I'm not tripping. I can find another one and do my thing. But glad to add this as well. All right, next we have Mr. Boombastic. This is Shaggy. This is Boombastic, and it's a 12-inch. It's a single, and we got a couple mixes. You got the regular Boombastic, and then you got the Sting remix, which was the one that everybody loved. I remember when this came out, it was the jam, man. They played and played and played this. This really blew Shaggy up. Shaggy had a good name. His first joints he had the song Carolina and all that, but when he dropped Boombastic, stratosphere, man. So I'm glad I picked this up. Shaggy. Next up, got the EAS Bay Gangsta Spice One. This is 187 he wrote. I had this album in middle school on cassette, and I would play it. This, and I bought this in Too Short's Get In Where You Fit In at the same time back in the day. Glad I found this. This is Get On Down, but it was also a record store day release. Picked this up for a good price. This is pressed on red and black vinyl. Not a lot of people like Spice One. I like Spice One. Classic gangster music, So glad I picked this up. I got a few Spice One records, so add this one along with it. Shout out Spice One. Next up, this is a record that was on my want list in Discogs, and I couldn't find it for a right price. This is HTown's latest edition album. This album came out when I was in high school, and when I heard it, I loved it. Of course, their single from this album was "They Like It Slow," which was a great song. But I picked it up, and I had it on CD, and it was a great album. This is a promo. This is not a U.S. press. The U.S. press was a promo. It had like a generic cover with just the HTown logo on it. But found this one. The guy had a couple copies. He was like they had never been played. Gave it to me for a good price, and I was ecstatic to get a copy of this. So R.I.P. Dino. Dino did most of the production on this album. I believe this was the last album that they released while he was still alive. And I know G.I. and Shazam, they still do their thing, but it ain't the same without Dino. This album is different from their other albums. There's still some sexy time music up here, but they give a lot of props to women and show women the respect that they do on this album. And if you've never heard it, check it out. Shout out HTown. R.I.P. Dino. All right. This is Rhyme Syndicate. It's coming through. It's an older rap album. This is Ice-T's Clique. He had the Rhyme Syndicate where he got a bunch of his rappers and rapper friends to do their thing. It's a dope album. Some classic stuff up here. I had never heard it. I was listening to it the other day and checking the track listing, and I saw the song by Everlast. I only know one Everlast. That's Everlast from the House of Pain. And so the record's playing, and I'm listening, and Everlast kind of got a distinctive voice. You can pick his voice out. And when the song came up, I'm like, well, maybe it was a different Everlast. But come to find out, and I found out through Ice-T's Drink Champ interview that Everlast rapped different in the beginning, and they had to tell him like, "Yo, like rapping your voice." But Pretty cool album. I'm glad to have this. Like I say, pick this up for the low. Great copy, great sleeve. Vinyl's good. And I can slide this in with some more of my iced tea stuff. Next up, got E40 in the Click with Hurricane. This is a 12-inch. This is off their game-related album. This was a huge single. Hurricane, you can call it Slurricane. It's about drinking, but had a dope beat, and it was a good one. You could turn it on and get the place pretty popping and rocking with this one. Shout out E40. Shout out the Click. Vallejo. All right, last but certainly not least, one of my favorite artists. Boom. I found this for a decent price. This is Scarface's Greatest Hits. It's got all the jams on it. I do have this on CD. I've got most of Scarface's material. I've got a few Scarface records, but I got almost all his records on CD. I was glad to pick this up. No, it's got some ring wear, but this vinyl is good to go. A lot of my favorite joints up here. A lot of his big songs, and there's a lot of Scarface's early stuff on vinyl is it's hard to find. I know they reissued the Fix recently, and you can get that for a decent price, which was a classic album. But I was glad to have this. Got some joints on it. Wait, shout out Brad Jordan, Mr. Scarface. All right, and that's gonna do it, man. If you made it this far, thank you. You can do me a favor. Please hit that like button. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. If you like this video, drop me a comment, man. Which one of these albums do you like? Do you have any of these albums? And until next time, peace.